You knew she's mine, but what did you do? You took her from me. Obina, calm down. It's all a mistake. I'm sorry this happened. I promise I didn't mean for it to happen. Don't tell me to calm down. It's all your fault, but I promise I won't let this slide. The gods chose her and I can't do anything about it. I'm sorry. I won't accept this and I will fight with my last breath.
The morning sun rose gently over the kingdom of Amaeze, casting a warm golden light on the small village compounds and lush green fields. In this ancient Igbo land, life followed the old ways of tradition and respect for the elders and the gods. The houses were simple round huts made of mud with thatched roofs, neatly arranged in family compounds. Amaeze was peaceful and orderly. The villagers swept the earth clean each day, and children played under the watchful eyes of their parents. In one such compound at the edge of the village lived a brave young warrior named Obina and his family. Obina was a tall, strong man in his early 20s, known throughout Amaeze for his courage and kindness. He had broad shoulders, skin dark and shining with youth, and gentle eyes that warmed when he smiled. Despite being a fierce warrior in battle, Obina's heart was tender and full of love. Not far from Obina's home was the compound of Adaeze, a beautiful maiden of the same age. Adaeze's name meant princess, though she was not of royal blood. She was the first daughter of her family, graceful and kind-hearted. Adaeze had bright, curious eyes and a warm smile that brought joy to everyone around her. She helped her mother fetch water from the stream each morning and wove colorful mats from palm ferns in the afternoon. Obina and Adaeze had known each other since they were children. They grew up playing in the fields and chasing goats together. As they grew older, their friendship blossomed into a deep love. By the time they became young adults, everyone in the village knew that Obina and Adaeze were meant for each other. They were like the sun and the moon, different but always together. The elders of Amaeze often nodded in approval when they saw Obina walking beside Adaeze on the way to the stream or market. "Those two will make a fine family," one old man would say, and the others would agree. Obina was respectful and hardworking. Adaeze was gentle and dutiful. In the eyes of the community, theirs was the ideal match. Each day, Obina would finish his morning training, swinging his machete and spear to stay strong as a warrior, and then he would visit Adaeze's compound. Sometimes he helped her father on the farm, tending to the yam and cassava crops under the hot sun. Other times, he sat with Adaeze under the big udala fruit tree by her mother's kitchen hut, listening to her sing folk songs while she ground peppers or peeled cassava. Her voice was soft and sweet, and Obina often closed his eyes to enjoy it fully. Life in Amaeze was guided by the gods and the wisdom of the elders. In the evenings, villagers gathered around the central fire in the village square. The square was an open ground near the biggest Iroko tree, with logs arranged for seating. Elders with grey hair and wisdom lines on their faces would tell stories of the ancestors and the gods. Children sat at their mother's feet, listening with wide eyes. Young men like Obina listened respectfully, learning the values of bravery, honor, and tradition. Young women like Adaeze learned about loyalty, kindness, and the duties of a good wife and mother. Obina's parents were proud of his son. His father, an older warrior who had fought in past skirmishes to defend the kingdom, taught him that strength must be used to protect the weak. His mother taught him that a true man also shows kindness and patience. These lessons made Obina beloved by all. He would help elders carry firewood without being asked. He played harmless wrestling games with the little boys and let them believe they were strong when they nearly pushed him down. The village saw him as a future leader, maybe even the next commander of the king's army when the time came. Adaeze's family also adored Obinna. Her mother often said, "Obinna will make a fine husband for our Adaeze. He is respectful and will take care of her." Adaeze would blush and smile. She spent her days preparing herself to be a good wife, learning cooking, carrying out chores diligently, and listening to her parents' guidance. In her heart, Adaeze already felt like Obinna's wife. He was her best friend and her true love. One clear evening, as the sun was setting red and orange, Obinna walked Adaeze home from the stream. She balanced a clear water pot on her head effortlessly, and he carried a bundle of firewood on his shoulder. They strolled slowly, enjoying the cool breeze of dusk. "I am the luckiest man in the world," Obinna said softly, looking at Adaeze with a smile. "I have the strongest woman by my side. Look at you carrying that pot like it's a feather. Not one drop of water is spilled." Adaeze giggled, her cheeks dimpling. "And I am lucky to have the strongest man," she replied. "You carried all that wood and still look ready to carry more." They both laughed. When they reached Adaeze's compound gate, they paused. The sky above had turned a deep blue, and one by one, the stars were beginning to appear. Obinna gently took the pot from Adaeze's head and placed it down. He knew Adaeze's family could see them, so he kept a respectful distance, but his eyes shone with love. "I will come by tomorrow," he said quietly, "to help fix the fence of your goat pen. I noticed it was broken." Adaeze nodded gratefully. "Thank you, Obinna. You are always helping us. My father says he will owe you many yams when harvest time comes," she said teasingly. Obinna chuckled. "Your father has done so much for me too. We are one family, Adaeze. Soon it will be official." He said the last sentence with a shy hope in his voice. Adaeze's heart fluttered. She knew what he meant. They both wanted to marry. They had talked about it for months and dreamed of it for years. Adaeze looked down shyly, smiling. "Yes," she whispered, "very soon." They said goodnight. Obinna watched as Adaeze walked into her family's hut, her silhouette graceful in the twilight. He felt a warm glow in his chest, believing that his future was bright and full of love. He then turned and walked home to his own family compound, where his mother was already calling him for the evening meal. That night, Adaeze told her mother in a soft voice, "Mama, I am sure Obinna will soon speak with father about our marriage." Her mother smiled and touched her daughter's shoulder gently. "My daughter, you are ready. Obinna is a good man. When he comes, my father and I will give our blessing. We have prayed to the gods, and we believe this union is right." Adaeze slept that night with a smile, dreaming of a simple life as Obinna's wife, waking up each day by his side, cooking for him, raising children together, and growing old in their little hut, surrounded by love and laughter. In his own hut, Obinna spoke with his parents about his plans. "Father, mother," he began respectfully, after the family had eaten boiled yam with palm oil and vegetables. "I wish to marry Adaeze, daughter of Nwoye." His parents exchanged happy glances. They had expected this. Obinna's father clapped him on the back. "My son, you have chosen well. Adaeze is like a daughter to us already," he said. Obinna's mother nodded, her eyes moist with joy. "We will go with you to Nwoye's house in a few days to discuss the marriage. The gods willing, we will have a wedding before the next harvest." Obinna felt relief and excitement. In the Igbo tradition, marriage discussions were a family matter, involving payment of a bride price and other customs, but he knew both families were eager for this union. There would be no difficulty, only celebration. And so, the stage was set for a happy future. The village of Amaeze buzzed quietly with the news that a wedding might soon be on the way. Neighbors smiled knowingly at Obinna and Adaeze when they went to the market together. Everything seemed perfect. However, fate can be as unpredictable as the Harmattan wind. In the shadows of this bright picture loomed the power of tradition and destiny that neither Obina or Adeaze fully understood yet. The kingdom of Amaeze was ruled not only by a wise king and elders, but also by ancient customs that could not be broken. Everyone respected the laws passed down by the ancestors. They believed that if anyone disobeyed these sacred customs, the gods would be angry and bring misfortune to the whole community. For now, Obina and Adeaze did not worry about any of that. They only knew that they loved each other deeply and that the future looked kind. As the crickets chirped in the warm night and the moon cast a silver glow on the thatched roofs of Amaeze, the young lovers both whispered prayers of thanks to the gods. They prayed that nothing would separate them and that their love would remain strong as they walked the journey of life together. That night in Amaeze was calm and beautiful, but it was the calm before a storm of tradition, duty, and fate that would soon test the strength of their love in ways they could never imagine. A few days passed in Amaeze, and the village continued its usual rhythm. But there was a sense of excitement in the air. The annual harvest festival was approaching. This was the most important festival of the year, when the yam harvest was celebrated with feasting, dances, and special rituals to honor the gods for a good harvest. People repaired their huts, cleaned the pathways, and prepared new clothes for the celebrations. This year's festival would be even more significant because the Prince of Amaeze, Prince Ikena, was expected to choose his wife during the festivities. According to the kingdom's tradition, during the grand festival, the prince would walk among the unmarried young women and select his bride by gently touching the one chosen by destiny. Once he touched a maiden in public, that maiden would by custom become his future wife. She had no right to refuse. It was an ancient practice meant to let the gods guide the prince's hand to the right bride. No one could refuse or question the choice once it was made, for it was believed the gods spoke through the prince's actions on that day. Obina was aware of this tradition, as was everyone in Amaeze. However, he did not worry. He knew in his heart that Adeaze was his, and that Prince Ikena, his friend, would never intentionally come between them. In fact, Obina and Prince Ikena were good friends despite their different status. Amaeze was not a land of arrogance. The royal family was close to the people. Prince Ikena was a kind and humble young man, only a few years older than Obina. He had been trained as a warrior too, and he often sparred and trained with Obina and the other fighters in the king's army. Many mornings, the prince would leave the royal compound with minimal escort to join the men in the training fields just outside the village. There, barefoot on the red earth, Prince Ikena swung swords and thrust spears alongside common warriors. He respected Obina for his skill and bravery, and Obina respected the prince for his fairness and courage as well. One sunny morning before the festival, Prince Ikena came to the practice grounds as usual. Obina was already there, demonstrating a new spear technique to some younger warriors. The prince watched for a moment, admiring Obina's strength and confidence. When Obina noticed him, he smiled and saluted, slamming his fists to his chest in respect. "Ikena, my brother," Obina greeted casually after the formal salute. They often spoke as friends when alone. The other warriors stepped back politely to give the prince space, but Prince Ikena waved them to continue their training. He walked up to Obina and grasped his shoulder. "Obina, you fight like 10 men, Ikena said warmly. "If we ever have trouble at the borders, I know who to call first." Obina laughed softly. "Thank you, my prince. I learned from the best." He bowed his head slightly, acknowledging Ikena's own skill. Prince Ikena leaned in and whispered with a grin, "I hear congratulations are in order. The whole village is saying you will soon marry the lovely Adeaze." The prince's eyes were bright. He truly was happy for his friend. Obina felt a flush of pride and joy. "Yes, Ikena, my parents will go to her parents perhaps right after the festival to discuss our marriage formally. Adeaze and I, we have waited for this." His voice was full of love when he said her name. Prince Ikena patted his back. "Adeaze is a wonderful woman. She will make a good wife, and you will make a good husband." Then the prince sighed slightly, a shadow passing his face. Obinna noticed the change in his friend's tone,